Sorry, folks. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Told you I would be back. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I am your host, Tiffany Daniels. And the reason why I'm back so early is because, well, I took one step outside, getting ready to, get the B-Day candles, and I became overwhelmed by the sense of nope. So, we are actually just going to go ahead and get the afternoon vid done a little bit early. That's right, folks. You see the real Laura B there. We are going back to the JD versus AH case. But before we get going, the usual disclaimers. You are going to find the real Laura K's Twitter handle so that you can follow her. God, right there in the description box, folks. So, let's go ahead and get to it while my co-anchor takes his seat over there. Yes, he does. Kitty loves this Walmart couch. So do I. So, update. And this came on the 16th. Johnny Depp versus the Nameless one. Fairfax. Depp claims he's been trying to meet and confer with AH counsel regarding Dr. Kipper's subpoena for documents being too broad. I don't got he has. He has preemptively asked for an IDC for court to have a hearing. AH counsel opposes, as you can see. Obviously, she opposes like everything. Everything. All the time. So let's look at the documents to see if we can't get a little bit more clarification here. All right. To describe the nature of discovery dispute. Okay. Here we go. Defendant Nameless One has issued a business record subpoena to plaintiff John C. Depp's treating physician, Dr. David Kipper, which seeks very broad categories of private and sensitive medical documents. Mr. Depp sought an extension of return date to allow for a meet and confer, but as of this time of this filing, the Nameless One's counsel has not responded. Accordingly, in abundance of caution, Mr. Depp is filing the present IDC request, which will be withdrawn in the event that the parties are able to reach an informal resolution of Mr. Depp's concerns. A sampling of the Nameless One's demands to Dr. Kipper are below. Did she even do anything other than make demands? Just saying. Saying this all. Okay, what is it saying here? Unredacted invoices and payment records for all services performed by you, including any employees or contractors, for or relating to Mr. Depp or the Nameless One from March 2021 through the present. Okay, so they are literally asking for HIPAA protected information from Dr. Kipper. Also, here's my question. How in the name of God are his medical records, after these incidents taken place, any of her damn business? Can somebody explain that to me? Why does she feel entitled to that kind of information? That's what blows my mind. Like, what is she trying to prove there? I can tell you. I can tell you what she's trying to do right now. She's trying to throw doubt on him by either trying to say he has mental issues or drug abuse issues so he won't remember these incidents. Honey, even if he didn't, guess what? The facts don't bear you out. Even if, due to drugs or alcohol, he would pass out on occasion. The facts of this case do not bear you out that any of these incidences actually took place. Seems to me more likely that you took advantage of drunken blackouts in order to plant your evidence and take your little pictures. And might I add, doing it badly and softly slow. And yeah, we won't even get into the discussion of how bad those photo fakes are. Not over it. Still not over it. Moving on before I go on a rant about that. All documents relating or otherwise supporting any medical diagnosis of Mr. Depp. Again, honey, that is HIPAA protected and right underneath the category of none of your goddamn business nor mine. All right? HIPAA law exists for a reason. And especially any diagnosis he might have since then received from after you all were together. For the love of God, definitely it's not her nor the court's business, nor is it pertinent to the case. I'm just saying. All other medical, pharmacological, psychiatric, or psychological testing of Mr. Depp. Really? All prescriptions for Mr. Depp. I'll text message with Mr. Depp for your current or any former telephone number. Now, I'm going to tell you why I get nervous when she starts to talk about medicine. And that's not because I think it's going to look bad for him. Because people like to do this to us neurodiverse people. Especially if your neurodiversity happens to be ADHD. It's kind of under the radar ableism, but ableism all the same. You see, when they want to show that someone with that particular diagnosis is particularly aggressive, they like to play up the symptoms and then play up the side effects of the medicine. Having been misdiagnosed with that diagnosis a long many moons ago, I can tell you the side effects of such medicine. I was 5 times more irritable than I even am now, if you can believe that. More nervous, more paranoid, and more anxiety ridden. In fact, more than likely, a good few of my issues actually became a lot worse than they were in spite of my PT diagnosis because of the effects of being on such high doses of that medication for so long when I didn't need to be because wrong diagnosis. People like her like to use diagnoses and they like to use side effects of drugs in order to absolve themselves from their shit and throw all the blame on the disabled person. It's a common tactic, and I've seen it time again and again and again. In fact, my biggest example is in the case of Austin Anderson, the young gentleman who had autism spectrum disorder and a form of adrenal disease as well as blindness, where they would try to use his disabilities as a reason that the mom was so overwhelmed that she had to kill him. That's more of an extreme than what we're looking at this situation. But it is another way of using someone's past and their diagnoses as a way to twist things. And you won't believe how much I've seen of that. And we are also not helped by people who have used the neurodiversity offense to get away with all kinds of crazy shit. Doesn't really help us in any way, shape, or form. I did wonder for quite some time if she was ever going to have the balls enough to actually start trying to use his diagnoses against him. Well, I hate saying I'm right, but I was right. That's what people like the Nameless one do. I knew it was only a matter of time. I figured that eventually, if she didn't use it from the get-go, she would use it when she got desperate. She's going to try to use any mental health issues, possibly his ADHD, possibly his ADHD medication. This woman is desperate. She is grasping at straws. If she has access to this information, she's going to use it. Going to use his diagnoses and his medications for those diagnoses to turn him into what she's been trying to turn him into all along. Don't believe it. Don't believe it, okay? Talk to us. Talk to those who actually have these diagnoses. Hi, how you doing? People who actually speak with those on a similarly regular basis who have ADHD. Hi, how you doing? And there's quite a large group of us in neurodiversity throughout of Twitter. We have all had our diagnoses, our mental health issues, all kinds of things used against us to paint us a certain way in the past. Maybe not to the extreme the Nameless one has, but we've all experienced it on one level or another. So, it remains to be seen what she exactly tries to do. What I hope the judge does is see through this shit. That's what I'd like to see. Number one, she should have no access, none, to any diagnoses or medications that he had been taking since he left her sorry ass. That is not her business and should be fully protected information under HIPAA law. But it remains to be seen. All right, let's go ahead and finish this up. Mr. Depp respectfully submits the subpoena is overbroad and unreasonably intrudes on private medical issues that are protected inertia by the Constitution right to privacy, the patient-physician privilege, and the Health Insurance Probability and Accountability Act of 1996. Thank you. We have no legitimate relationship to the issues in this action. Among other defects, the subpoena goes well beyond any time frame that could plausibly be relevant to this action, since it seeks medical records through and including 2021, despite the fact that the parties' marriage ended 5 years ago in 2016. Thank you. I actually did forget some of those acts, but in my defense, folks, I'm pretty much all the time tired. This is why I have so much caffeine in my life. I'm pretty much exhausted of just about 24/7. So, yeah, she is going above and beyond what she should have any ability to even be able to ask for. She is seeking information that is protected by federal laws. And I hope to God that the judge stays true to form and she calls her out on it. Period. Absolutely. Period. End of story. See, forget about this being a celebrity case for a minute. Let's think about this on a broader scale. HIPAA law is there for a reason. It is there to protect people with various disabilities and mental health issues. When you let this little miss sing, because she's a woman, violate federal laws with impunity. And if that is allowed to go forward, imagine the damage that would do to other people with other diagnoses across the nation. Yeah, this woman doesn't think about anyone but herself. She doesn't care if she tramples on millions of people across the country that she doesn't even know, as long as she gets what she wants. That is the kind of person we are dealing with here. And on that note, folks, well, we actually, hold up, we got more to look at. Sorry, I got caught up there. Oh, you're gonna get a close up of me. I gotta get close so I can read this. Petitioner, the Nameless one, submits this response to respondent John C. Depp's request for an informal directory conference, IDC request, regarding the subpoena for production of business records to non-party David Kipper, dated October 20th, 2021. Okay, so, oh my God, first of all, her lawyers tried to completely dismiss the fact that she is seeking information that is way beyond the scope of what she should ever have access to. They don't even mention that she is literally wanting HIPAA law to be violated. But it's just business records. Really? Really? Because I get recertified in HIPAA every single year as a part of the mentor program. Okay? Guess what? It is medical. And Elaine can't cover that shit up by trying to use dismissive terms as business. Sorry, not sorry. The IDC request is improper because Mr. Depp does not even attempt to meaningfully meet and confer. Oh, bullshit. This is a prerequisite before seeking an IDC. Relatedly, Mr. Depp has failed to include a meet and confer declaration as required by Code CIV 55-2016, blah, 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 blah. We're not going to mention the fact that our client wants us to violate HIPAA law for her. We're just going to sit there and say, well, he's the bad guy. I'm just giving you the gist of it, in case anyone's wondering. Moreover, the documents called for under subpoena are relevant and proper. Bullshit! Bullshit, Elaine. Bullshit. Like I said, I have gotten recertified in HIPAA law every single year since 2007. Okay? Okay? The information that they are asking for is protected under HIPAA law, barring a few, very small few possible exceptions. What she is seeking after the time period they were even together is not proper, not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. She should have absolutely zero access to any medical documents that's past that timeline, okay? But here's what's interesting. If it's allowed, and it turns out she caused him PTSD, it could backfire in her face. It could really backfire in her face. That being said, though, even if watching it backfire in her face would give me some small consolation, it should not be allowed to be this broad because there are federal laws that are meant to protect not just Mr. Depp, not just Johnny, but all the fucking rest of us. And she shouldn't just get her way because she stomps her foot, wears red lipstick, and pouts. Okay? HIPAA law is about a hell of a lot more people and cases than just this one. I'm just saying. Dr. Kipper has been Mr. Depp's position since May 2014. Throughout the majority of the relationship between the Nameless one and Mr. Depp. Irrelevant. It's still protected under HIPAA law. including through the vast majority of the incidents of domestic violence, which never fucking happened. He is the only physician who has treated Mr. Depp for his excessive alcohol and drug use. Here we go. We're going to throw all addicts under the bus. They're all monsters. Sure, Elaine. Sure. Let's demonize people who suffer from addiction even more. That way they don't feel like they need to go and get help and get worse. This is why people don't ask for help. Shit and people like Elaine. Which continues to the present. Oh, you know that for a fact, Elaine. I didn't know that you were hiding spy cams in his home, that you know exactly what he's doing all the time, wherever he is. Really? Really? Prove it. Also designated as an expert on Mr. Depp's behalf based on his knowledge of Mr. Depp's pharmacological treatment and effects. Oh, we're going to blame Adderall now. So we're going to call him a drug addict and we're going to call him an alcoholic, and then we're going to throw in the fact that he has a neurodiverse diagnosis. And we indies, we're not people. You know that, right? We're nothing but just drug-addicted criminal fiends who do nothing but hurt people and should be shoved in places like the JRC. Right, Elaine? Yeah, sorry, I'm a little fired up. Anytime I see someone so blatantly just dismiss federal protections that were made to protect people with disabilities and mental health issues against this type of shit, it infuriates me. You don't even want to know. He was also designated as blah, 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 blah. Dr. Kipper is also the only witness with access to many of the requested records which relate to Dr. Kipper's treatment of Mr. Depp and are relevant to Dr. Kipper's memory of Mr. Depp's mood, behavior, and excessive alcohol and drug abuse during the relationship between Mr. Depp. Okay, Elaine, I'm going to stop you right there. If I had a relationship with that woman, I would be on all the drugs. I have been sober now for 2.5 years, a little bit over, soon going to be 3. If I had to deal with her ass on the daily, I would be freaking reaching for the first 10-gallon bottle of vodka I could possibly find. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Your client has been caught in more goddamn lies than anyone I have seen in recent memory. But you are going to drill down alcohol and drug abuse and use it as a means to paint him into a monster with not a single care in the world about the ramifications of doing such a thing. And there are ramifications, folks, when you demonize people who have addictions like that. When you demonize people who have disabilities in the way that we all know she's going to want to play it, how that can affect the rest of the community of individuals who have these issues or have neurological disabilities, you can't even imagine the impact that's going to have on the rest of us. Okay? You can't even begin to understand. And what I find really amusing is that she's trying to get this past a Virginia judge, the same Virginia judge who is a part of a program of rehabilitating veterans who have since then fallen to drug abuse. And she still wants to use the alcohol and the drugs to demonize him. With a judge who works with addicts day in and day out when she's not on this case. I don't think it's such a smart move. So, we've got a few more things to look at, and we'll go ahead and wrap this video up. And there's the last part of it. So, what do I think of all of this, if I haven't made it clear? It's quite simple, really. You don't fucking violate HIPAA law. It's that simple. That's my argument. You don't do it. You don't have the right, Nameless One, to break attorney-client privilege or violate federal law after federal law that have been put into place to protect people's private medical information, especially people with disabilities and mental health issues. I don't want to think of the ramifications of if this is allowed and that information, which should be protected, is allowed access to. Because it puts the protection of every single other person with a disability, regardless of what it is, or mental health issue, regardless of it is, at risk. And that's my takeaway from it. Even if it does backfire in her face, even if she gets access and it turns out she caused him to have severe PTSD and it ends up biting her in the ass. At the same time, at what cost? And on that note, we're going to go ahead and close out for this afternoon. We don't get very many views on this channel. Few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So folks, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this afternoon, and as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.